And now for something completely different.
Forget everything you've been told by others before. Get ready for the real deal, the full story, real talk about money, markets, life. Now, it's The Real Investment Show, presented by RIA Advisors.
And welcome to Financial Fitness Friday of The Real Investment Show. Good morning, everybody. I'm Rich Rosso, CFP, here with Danny Ratliff, CFP. We're so glad you're here this week, and couldn't happen fast enough. The weeks fly by. Somewhere I got stuck on Wednesday, and it never sort of left. Danny's still asleep.
What? We're live?
We're live. So I was telling Brent I had a great idea. One of my best ideas. Do you ever come up with like, okay, here are all these money-making ideas I want to do?
Yeah.
Called Nap Station, which would be like a storefront, but you'd walk in and you'd pay like $30 for 30 minutes, and you get in a nice pod, and you can either have these nice, beautiful scenes on a screen, I had it on above you with nice music, and you take a nap because naps are so healthy. Mm-hmm. Right? All the studies that are out there go through, hey, this is why naps are so healthy. So I figured, hey, chain of nap stations in major metropolitan areas would be good. But then I figured, why not just create NapCoin?
It's probably a better idea, to be honest with you, because where are you going to put a nap station? You can't put it in a mall. You can't put it in a
Well, you would do it like we have so
high-rise.
many strip malls here, right? Strip centers. You just put it in there. I even have the logo. I even got my little sleepy head guy.
I've got a better idea. I'll create an app. It'll be called Nap Station. Turn it on. It'll play whatever music you want. You just pull over on the side of the road.
Yeah, NapCoin.
The Nap app. There you go. Nap app.
Yeah, you can do that.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. Genius.
Well,
Brent.
you're probably going to do that in if you buy a Tesla, as long as you're in the driver's seat.
Sure. You could get nap credits.
Now you're talking. See, this is why it's so important to bring these ideas up to other people.
Yeah, because so they can poo-poo them as usual.
No, I think this is a great idea. Look where it's gone already.
It's kind of a sleeper deal, though.
It is.
Yeah.
A little bit of a snoozer.
I have a nap station. I call it my office. Don't tell Connie.
Whoa, hey.
Hey, whoa. Hey. So looks like, hey, Dow implied open 90 points today. S&P implied higher today. Every day seems to be a green day. The Fed finally comes out yesterday and says, well, maybe, just maybe, the markets are slightly frothy, and we all need to be careful. What? Are you kidding? You're trying to tell us what?
Not at all. Well, what S&P's up about 0.5% for the week. I mean, it's not been a tremendous week by any means, but I think we've had a little bit of whiplash, a little bit with Yellen at the beginning of the week saying how rates, they do need to modestly rise. Then she comes back out later that afternoon and says, whoa, no, we're good, when the market begins to tank.
She got the phone call.
Well, it's just really interesting because she's so seasoned that you would think she would know this. Right. I mean, come on. She's been on both sides of the ledger here. She's been the Fed chair and now the Treasury Secretary. You would think she has this verbiage down pat.
You would think. And she sort of hinted at it, and it's not like she wasn't giving anybody the truth, right?
Correct.
But she did have to walk it back. Actually, I was surprised, Danny, that even though the market pulled back, that it didn't pull back more dramatically than it did. Because as soon as you say rate increase or inflation, the market takes it negatively. So even though it was, we did have a pullback there for a bit, it was nothing compared to what it would have been in the past. Because I still think the market has the firm belief that the Fed is always going to bail it out, and there is going to be some additional stimulus coming in some form. I don't know what infrastructure looks like. I don't know what taxes look like. We've been talking about for years that taxes are going higher. And that was just based on the sunset of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act at the end of 2025 and us going back to our marginal rates that were there previously.
Well, not only that, but we haven't had a budget in how long?
I don't.
Continuing
I have lost
resolution.
count. Oh,
that's
yeah.
increasing it each and every
Has it
year.
been since Obama, or when was the last time we had a budget?
This is before Obama.
Oh, before, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, forget budget. We don't.
That's a
That's a
four-letter
bad
word.
word. Now, I want to explain something to you, because Danny brings up a great point. Don't take the government's example. You need the budget because you can't print your own money. You can't manufacture your own currency. So even though hey, I'll just do what the government does. No one is going to bail you out. Remember that. Unless you're a big company or a bank. You know, if you're an airline or a bank, you might get bailed out. But you and your little household there, not going to happen. So.
Most households have been bailed out. I mean, throughout this last year, we've had a lot of
good point.
A lot of ways that households have been propped up, which was necessary. However,
How many trillions?
yeah, and how many more can there be? That's going to be the question. At some point, you're going to see them step back the fiscal policy, the monetary policy. At some point, this will not continue to be feasible, and so that's what concerns me is what happens when all the Kool-Aid's been taken away.
Well, interesting enough, we can't find enough workers, right? I mean, there's a myriad of reasons for it, but one of the reasons is why do I need to go to work? I mean, there's a neighborhood shop by me that is offering like $40 just to come in to interview.
Really?
So, I also think I also think that there's an issue with across the country with how school schedules are looking. I have no idea why kids can't go back to school. That's way beyond my pay grade because I don't get it. So. Childcare, right? Can't go back to work because my child's still not in school. But a lot of it is also because of the stimulus that we've been given. I've heard some really crazy things about how people have been spent their stimulus checks.
What's the craziest thing you've heard?
All on lottery tickets.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I remember you telling me that one.
That's a good one.
Well, I've heard a lot of people. They're giving it away to charity. They're saying, you know what, I don't necessarily need it. A lot of
people
retarees
do some good stuff with that. Yeah, giving it to
been
charities.
receiving it.
We've had clients, retirees that said, "Hey, I don't know why I got this, but I just, I had someone I know that was really in need, and I gave it to them, but also charity. So the money has gone to good places. But when the liquidity sloshes around the way it is, it winds up in all these different so-called asset classes. I still have a tough time calling crypto an asset class, but it's becoming more and more mainstream as such. Because let me just say, in that lane or that main lane of crypto, you might be driving a car that's eventually going to explode on you because there has been talk that governments are going to create their own crypto. Soon as that happens, it's going to crowd out all this Doge coin or whatever the heck you call it, Kite coins and all this other stuff that people are just using to trade amongst themselves. Do you understand? People are using these cryptos to trade. Danny and I create a crypto, right? We create Napcoin. We get Brent in. He wants to buy in. Brent
needs
two friends. It's like that commercial that people don't remember on Clairol. What is it? You tell two friends, you tell two friends, and then we're all trading back and forth. And there's going to be a greater fool to buy mine that hopefully I can convert to a medium of exchange.
Wait, you mean the dollar?
I guess. Well, I mean, if I want to go ahead and retire, I actually need the money that I can go out there and spend, right?
Correct.
So, crazy times, everybody. We get back. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, including the 2021 end-of-life survey. Are Americans prepared? You know, cheery talk for a Friday here on the Financial Fitness Friday show. We'll be right back.
Buys a 20-karat golden ring. Takes it back to Molly waiting at the door, and as she gives it to her, she begins to sing.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.
We're going for the best on our next Candid Coffee with Richard Rosso and Danny Ratliff, Saturday, May 22nd. The best accounts to save, the best accounts to invest. Investments are one thing. The vehicles you place them in can be quite another. Which are the best for you? Learn about the best types of accounts to save for healthcare, retirement, and emergency reserves on our next Candid Coffee with Ratliff and Rosso, Saturday, May 22nd. Register now at realinvestmentadvice.com. Realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
I'm going to put Brent on the spot. Look at it, tell him. Major childhood crush.
Childhood crush? Define childhood.
Well, 10, let's say 8 to 15 years old. Television, radio. Yours was probably Edward R. Murray. Or Murrow.
I had a crush on Petula Clark.
Oh, okay.
I thought she was awesome.
Cute as heck.
Yes.
Don't sleep in the subway.
Downtown.
Downtown, yeah.
Yes. Petula Clark.
Today they'd be telling you sleep in the subway.
Yeah.
She'd be singing that.
And get out of town.
Yeah. I think Danny's was Sabrina, Teenage Witch.
Sabrina, no. It's a little,
What's her name? Melissa Hart. Joan Hart.
that may have been a little after my time.
I don't know. You're pretty young.
And then there was Farrah Fawcett.
Yes.
May she rest in peace.
Yes, may she rest in peace. But go ahead, Danny.
I don't know.
I don't think he's ever.
Because Michelle's listening.
No, I just really don't think Danny did. I think he was just too busy to have a childhood crush.
I didn't watch much TV.
No, I think
we were
was
outside
mowing the lawn,
Playing ball.
playing ball.
We did a lot of that. Yep.
Yeah. He's got a crush now. He better.
Richard.
See, I've
Who
had
was your childhood
so
crush?
many, but number one, Marsha Brady. Maureen
Marsha.
But number two, Joey Heatherton. I posted a photo of her on Facebook today that I found in the retro room
Yes.
in her apartment in 1970.
Wait, you found a picture in her apartment? Wait a second.
Well, no, they
You were in her
posted
apartment in 1970? There's a picture of you?
Well, I would have been pretty young at the time. Well, she was babysitting me. No, there was this. One thing I'm not. I don't like Twitter. Like and a lot of other vehicles for social media. But what Facebook does have those very cool rooms, groups, right? Are you in some groups, right?
Yeah.
Brent,
Yeah.
you're in the Mazda group.
In the Battleship Texas
group. And, so I'm in like the 70s group. There's some great country music groups and so forth, like outside of everything else. But the actual groups and people that get together in these groups, they tend to sort of post what they're supposed to post. And we don't see a lot of political stuff. Danny's in the...
It's where Richard picks up women, a 70s group.
Literally, because they probably all need wheelchairs. And walkers. Hey, can I get you a walker? All right, so...
He thought it was 1970. He was very mistaken when he got in.
Boy, I missed the 70s. So we had a great Candid Coffee yesterday and actually Lunch and Learn yesterday at noon, and we're going to do these again, virtual Lunch and Learn on Medicare. And it was really just the basics, the alphabet soup, and we had a great turnout. Close to 100 people. Thank you for attending. We still have to get through all the questions people have sent. It just goes to show you how confusing Medicare is, right, Danny?
It is.
I mean, with all the different enrollment periods, you understand why people get stuck with permanent penalties for enrollment when you understand that. So our job always is to make sure we go into the financial dust bunnies here. Like, you don't want to clean the top of the shelf financially. We go to the top of the shelf because you need to know this stuff. You need to know Social Security. You need to know Medicare. I mean, these are very important social safety nets, and studies show, even though retirement confidence actually, Danny, is still pretty solid, that there is a strong dependency, no matter what income group you're in Medicare, a strong dependency on Medicare and Social Security. So
there's a
we
huge
need to
dependency.
understand them very well.
It's so expensive to have health care without Medicare, and even then,
my gosh,
you start tacking on Medigap and the rest of it. It is not a cheap endeavor.
No, but it's still better than you trying to find insurance on your own. And it allows us to actually understand and codify healthcare costs for you.
Correct.
In your plan. They always talk about catastrophic healthcare issues in retirement. And with Medicare and Medigap, if you are handling things properly, you can most likely prevent these kinds of things. It's long-term care that becomes a big issue. I'm thinking maybe our next Lunch and Learn is really on the basics of long-term care, what people really need to know.
Yep.
But we're going to have another Candid Coffee. Remember, that's our Saturday deal, which is more casual than our Lunch and Learns. And this is, according to Brent, the best Candid Coffee yet, because we're going to talk about why it's the best accounts to save for healthcare, retirement, emergency reserves. In other words, the vehicles. The vehicles. You always want to know about all the stuff in the vehicle, right? The stereo and all the cool stuff, Brent's CB radio. No, this is about the right vehicles for you to invest in. And speaking of that, through the House right now, well, the virtual House, they have to get formalized. There's Secure Act 2.0 that's about to happen. And I think it has a good chance, Danny, of getting through. But what I really like, and we're going to just highlight one issue, Section 604 is the optional treatment of employer matching contributions as Roth contributions. Danny and I are so big on Roth, right? Roth 401k and so forth. But when your employer makes a matching contributions, those are pre-tax. This Secure Act 2.0 is going to allow defined contribution plans to provide participants with the option of receiving matching contributions on a Roth basis, which I think is great. So that means everything is going to go into Roth.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea. I'm sad it's taken them this long to figure this out.
Well, Roth is obviously stirring up some activity, right? There's a lot more talk.
Well, of course, because now you have taxes looming right in front of you here in the next 6 months. So,
Right.
so of course, they're going to be, this is a big deal now. But hopefully people have enough time to take advantage of it. We talk about, for a long time, we've talked about how Roths are such a critical part of the overall plan and how you should be able to have these after-tax dollars to draw from to decrease those, like the Medicare tax, all these different things that people, it's just not talked about enough. A lot of people, I'm not going to say they neglect to see it, but they're just not told until usually you actually see that premium increase or you see some of the other issues where you say, wow, Social Security was taxed. And so we want to arm people with all the tools to diversify the assets to protect them. And now we're right here where taxes are going to go up. We may be in a year or two, in a couple of years, having to say, well, hey, laws have changed now. Taxes are so high. I don't think it's going to be so high, but we could say, hey, putting in a pre-tax may be a great thing. And Roth could be, think about it.
I know. It really does depend. I mean, right now I would say Roth, but depending on where taxes go, you might see some more popularity
with the
for
pre-tax.
tax-deferred accounts, even though in retirement you're still not going to fall to the lowest tax bracket and you're still going to have the pain.
But you're going to hope that over time you'll see taxes
moderate,
decline again, right?
Yeah. So, boy, I'm telling you, this environment.
It's a crazy world.
If you have a financial partner, that person or group better be on their toes. Let me say that.
But I think that's
we have
why
to study every day. Yeah,
you do. But I think that's why, like you discussed the Medicare event and how well attended, and they're always very well attended. In fact, and I think it's because there's not a ton of information on it. Unless you're getting things in the mail from Medicare Advantage and the ARP, all those things. But you need an advisor who's armed to discuss all of these different things.
Yes,
because they all come together, and so too often we fail to think about these things in the sense of how they all impact each other, because it's not just about making money and protecting money in markets. It's about protecting money in your pocket. And this is money you've earned. So we got to watch that outflow. And that's why it's critical, Rich. And I think that's why people are so, I think that's why people are so engaged with it.
I agree. So this Candid Coffee that we're going to do about the vehicles, including Roth, that's Saturday, May 22nd from 8 to 9 a.m. This is going to be a Zoom meeting, so you can register at Real Investment Advice. We get nice turnout for Candid Coffee. We have great Candid Coffee mugs. Client emailed me the other day how much she loves. Her and her husband are fighting over it. Don't break it. As you sit in, ask some questions, we pull, thanks to the help of Nikki on our team, those people that deserve the mug and our little Candid Coffee clutch. So we hope that you show up for that. Now, this is going to be a big morning, Danny, for news, right? Because we have April jobs expected to top 1 million. That's the expectation today. What's your guess?
Man, it seems like we're picking up a little bit of steam. I'll go with the 1 million.
Okay.
I'll take the over.
This is like Jeopardy.
Yeah.
No, what is it? Price is Right. Yeah. Brent, what's your number?
I don't believe any of it. I don't believe the way they come to the number because they're not counting everybody.
Brent's like Mulder on the X-Files. I don't believe
Let's
it.
just
Well,
change-
there's going to be a number.
Let's change the
They're
denominator.
going to put something out.
What's
Regardless
the
of
fake number, Brent?
I have no idea. They're going to make it look good.
Okay. They'll make it look
It'll
good.
be positive.
So Brent's going to say it's going to be close to 1 million, I think.
But I've got my cynicism mask on.
We see that every day.
Yes,
We don't,
yes.
Yeah. Trust nobody. X-Files. Brent Clanton. New version.
Yes.
I'm going to say, I don't know why I feel this way. I'm going to say 887.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why, but we'll see. But regardless of the number, it's probably going to be pretty big.
Yeah.
What's going to be very important are unit labor costs, right? Because we have seen those tempered. Because where inflation can show up is in wage growth. And so we haven't seen that yet. So productivity is picking up. That's good. But again, you have to remember where we've been coming from, right? We were in like an economic apocalypse. So right now what you are doing is recovery. You're not expanding. You got to be careful of these words because once we get back to where we were, what's the growth from there? The bond market is saying 2%, back to the muck. What do you think? All right, we get back. We want to talk a little bit about, hey, this is a planning show. Are you prepared for end of life? What do you need to do? We'll try to make it as positive as we can because it would be good for your family. Here on Financial Fitness Friday of the Real Investment Show. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
We're going for the best on our next Candid Coffee with Richard Rosso and Danny Ratliff, Saturday, May 22nd. The best accounts to save, the best accounts to invest. Investments are one thing. The vehicles you place them in can be quite another. Which are the best for you? Learn about the best types of accounts to save for healthcare, retirement, and emergency reserves on our next Candid Coffee with Ratliff and Rosso, Saturday, May 22nd. Register now at realinvestmentadvice.com. Realinvestmentadvice.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. Catch them is
I think I slept on a dog last night. My neck. When you sleep with all these dogs, one of them is going to become a pillow. It's just the way it happens. You have the right idea, Brent. Putting little Sophie in her little cave.
Oh,
little kennel.
she's gotten to the point where she just automatically goes there.
You got her trained to do that.
Yeah, it starts to get dark outside, and she comes and gives me the stare, and we go take her to her little pen.
Aw.
That's good.
Yeah.
You can't sleep with your dogs, Danny. They're
No,
big.
they take the whole bed.
Yeah, you'd all have to leave.
They like that. They fight over sleeping with the kids now, so the kids fight over which one they get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do they? But they're so big. The kids be able to sleep on the floor, or what do
They
they?
sleep at the end of the bed.
Okay, it's cool. Dogs in beds.
It's
Hey.
all good until one goes in the other room to drag one dog off the other one's bed, Yeah, it's fun. Get in here. What are you doing?
Dog napping.
Wouldn't you love
on me.
a Ratliff show? Like a reality show? Just like a,
We could.
Oh, man. I don't think you want that.
Ratliffs.
The Ratliff bunch.
The Ratliff bunch.
Now, that would be a snoozer.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know.
Need to make-
Dragging dogs at 1 a.m. and
Need
Danny
to-
going, what
yeah.
the heck is going on around here?
Need to make some more kids, though, so you can fill in all 9 frames.
Oh, man.
I hated to bring this up, but demographics show that we need more kids. So get on it there.
Hey, I think we've done our part.
No, you absolutely have done your part to help the demographics of the country. So
We got 3. So
what are y'all, rest of you doing? All right. So Choice Mutual came out with a survey. Listen, hey, we don't like to think about if anything happens to us. That's why it's so tough to buy life insurance. What I find, though, Danny, is, even with me, when you start thinking of the positives of it, the people that you leave behind, I find that people prepare for end of life almost with some form of zeal. Like they realize how much easier it's going to be for their family, right? And then you have to look at, what do I do with the house? What do I do with my dogs? I see more people that all of a sudden the family gets a dog and the dog's in the shelter and has no idea what's going on. So we got to try to make things easier for our loved ones and look beyond our own mortality to what's going to be part of our legacy to help our children make, or spouses make, good decisions. And there are certain decisions you do not want to place on your children. Like I had to do for my parents, I had to make these end of life decisions for both of them. And I thought I knew what they wanted, but I still thought it was unfair that I had to be the one to make the decision. They weren't able to talk for me to help them, for them to tell me. I had to make an assumption of what they wanted. So you don't want to do that to anybody at all. So the survey that Choice Mutual did was pretty interesting. I had one client, I'll never forget, wonderful client of mine, who actually predicted the financial crisis and because of the amount of household debt. But what he did was Danny, he wrote his eulogy. He had all his insurance laid out, right? He had the type of funeral he was going to have, right? His interments, all of this set up meticulously. Because the one he didn't want to do was think about my family having troubles with this. He was and we still work with his nephew today. He was a great radio. He was almost a mentor to me, helping me on radio and TV. And and again, he retired. He bought a motorcycle. We planned for retirement, and he got diagnosed with cancer like 2 months into retirement. Right. So, then he went into preparing for end of life. But again, it's not something we all want to do. So Choice Mutual did this study, and I'm going to try to do my technology thing here as best I can. So the one question was on this is, do you have a will? 41% of respondents said, no, I haven't gotten around to it. And it really depended upon age. Like, what age do you think you should create a will, right? So obviously the biggest was 31 to 40. So let's talk a little about that. If I'm 18 years old, do I need a will? No, I can go either way. But we all have assets, right? This is America. We all have got stuff. If you have a place where you want this stuff to go, you could do it legally, or you can let the state take care of it. But it gets absolutely more complicated when you have children. I am shocked by how many young parents I talk to that have still not figured out guardianships, Danny, for their kids officially.
Oh, many
and
people
have done wills and to do that. I'm sort of flabbergasted by it.
Yeah, I think that's a prevailing problem. And, I think people 31 to 40 generally, just because I've been right there and having children, these are big things to think about. And I think that's why they feel like it's probably the biggest demographic that needs to take care of things. Because as you're having children, you need to begin to think of, okay, what happens? Should something happen to both of us? My wife and I just take different flights wherever we go. I'm kidding. But these are things
Actually, I know a couple who does that.
Do you?
Too, so that they don't, something happens to them at the same. Yeah, I do have some people that do that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but these are
strange,
things I think that they need to be addressed, right? And especially if you have small children, you need to figure out, okay, one, who's going to be guardian, who's going to take care of them. What if they can't? What if they don't want to? Things change. These are also things that need to be updated frequently, and I think it goes so much further than that. But even I meet clients, and you do too. I mean, one of the first questions we typically ask is, when we get into planning, do you have a will? Do you have all these documents prepared?
The basics, just the basics, nothing fancy. Although we think estate planning is going to take on a new level depending on what the new administration does. But even before you get to the will, you have to have a conversation.
Correct. That's the tough part. Nobody wants to talk about it.
I talked to a young couple a few weeks ago in their mid-20s, and they still haven't had the conversation about their two young kids. What would happen? You can't make an assumption here. You don't want the state to
determine where they go.
Exactly. So it's a bad spot for them. In other words, it's a bad place because one wants one that the other one doesn't want. But you're going to have to come to some form of consensus. Even if it's the lesser of two evils, you have to have somebody. You don't want the state to dictate where that's going to go. So, and then what about, Danny, when people say, well, I'll just write something down. Well, you could. That's better than nothing. It's called a holographic will, right? I can write out a will. I can get it notarized. It may be contested depending upon where you are. I can't remember if Texas is one of those states where you're able to have the written will. I think you can do a handwritten will.
You can.
And listen, hey, there are going to be some people that can title their assets. They're below exemptions. They've had good conversations with their kids. They can set up what we call one rights or survivorship accounts, right? Where one party gets the asset, right? It bypasses probate. I have beneficiaries on my life insurance and IRAs. So sometimes I may decide, unless someone's going to fight over my G.I. Joe collection with the Kung Fu grip, I can write all that stuff out for my daughter and say, hey, make sure this person gets this. I know all my stuff's going on eBay. That's just the way it's going to happen. But because, your kids, we always talk about this, your kids don't want your stuff. Their kids don't want your house for the most part. And they might want some little piece of sentimental stuff, but the stuff, maybe your grandmother's china, your children not going to look at it the way you do. Maybe I don't want great grandma's quilt. They don't have the same level of attachment, so don't get offended. But this all formal stuff starts with a conversation about this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, my grandmother, when I was young, would ask me and my cousins to go by and put a sticker on things that we wanted if she were to die. And
what did you put a sticker on? Anything?
Yeah, there's a handful of things that were just sentimental, like that my grandfather really liked, or, like I have some.
You think Danny was born old, Brent? I'm going to take Grandpa's pipe. He's 7.
No, that was never a thing there.
No, but I'm saying is that's cool that she did that.
Yeah, she was.
But that's
she
a
was
good thing
thoughtful
to
on
do.
that.
No, but how many people do that?
Not
I think
many.
that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea too.
Kind of scared herself, like, Grandma, you okay?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Grandma, you checking out, Grandma?
But I think that being thoughtful on those types of things, because then you understand what people want, and then you can say, okay, well, hey, here's the things I have. Take it to Goodwill. Take it to this charity.
You would not believe what people fight over.
Oh, yeah. I know.
I am talking about stuff that should not matter.
Yep.
I mean, I've seen families break up over teacups. Like, I should have gotten that collection.
Like, these are collections that will never be used, by the way, because trust me, I have a handful, and then
no, they're not good. No.
Yeah.
But why did Grandma leave that to you? So in other words, the
then you
conversation.
feel bad about getting rid of it too. It's a whole other story.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
I don't know my kids today. I think kids today would probably just, every time I walk into an antique store, I'm like, okay, who unloaded this? Why did you unload your family's pictures? Come on, stop. That's terrible. So, have you had a loved one die without a will? According to Choice Mutual, no. Yes, it went well. 24% said it, 27% said it went poorly because it could. If you don't dictate where the money goes, you're going to have a problem.
Or if you're not the one who's actually the executor having to deal with it. I think if you actually polled most executors, it'd be a far different number.
I bet it would. Okay, we'll be right back here on Financial Fitness Friday and the Choice Mutual Study. We're going to continue that when we get back.
But I don't know why. Excuse me while I kiss the sky. Yeah, police all around. Don't know if I'm coming up or down. Am I happy or in misery? Whatever it is, that girl put a spell on me.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
We're going for the best on our next Candid Coffee with Richard Rosso and Danny Ratliff, Saturday, May 22nd. The best accounts to save, the best accounts to invest. Investments are one thing. The vehicles you place them in can be quite another. Which are the best for you? Learn about the best types of accounts to save for healthcare, retirement, and emergency reserves on our next Candid Coffee with Ratliff and Rosso, Saturday, May 22nd. Register now at realinvestmentadvice.com. Realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
And welcome back. Hey, listen, we're not going over this study to be buzzkills on a Friday. We're helping you to understand that there is positivity to this. There might be a conversation that you've been reluctant to have with a loved one about guardianship, or, hey, what are we going to do with Scruffy? And, again, these are just conversations that you might want to think about having. And Choice Mutual went and did this survey about end of life and how people were prepared. I thought this was interesting, Danny. You're an organ donor, and 51% said yes. So 1% said, no, I think it's gross or weird. So, no, I don't trust doctors. That's a really... 4% said, no, I don't want someone else using my organs. They're mine and they're going with me.
Man, you could have them all.
Yeah, 10% said, no, I don't think my organs are usable. I wonder if Keith Richards
Wait a second.
picks that one.
Hey, what state of mind do you have to be thinking, man, I've been so hard.
Yeah. You know what? You're not going to find anything good in here. Under the hood, no good. That's my End of Life shirt. Under the hood, no good. So that's some odd responses to this.
Yeah.
Are you an organ donor? Boy, some weird people out there. All right, so what do you think of the average burial and funeral service costs? Again, these costs go up dramatically. They are an investment. So actual costs, you can see where most people are saying $4,000 to $7,000. Actual cost is roughly $7,300. And that's even, we see more people looking at cremation. But even if you're going to have a ceremony, the cost of it is going to be, it's going to be expensive. I've seen some funerals that I've helped people with $12,000, $15,000.
Yeah, I feel like that's more the norm than a 7 to 10, to be honest with you. And, I help people with some of these decisions. And,
I think
even
it's like the lower end of the of the spectrum.
Well, even the lower end, I've found that it's been more expensive. Maybe that's just where we are, where we're looking. But I've had a handful of clients who really shopped around, even trying to go to small towns to see if maybe it's a little bit cheaper in different areas for caskets, for burial plots. It is just not a cheap endeavor.
No, it's not. And here's how much have you set aside for burial and funeral services? This is what I see people do not. We put it into our plans. I don't see a lot of people even bringing this up, but 49% said 0 to 1,000. In other words, we don't have anything set aside for burial and funeral services, right? So people would expect that, life insurance will possibly, and that's part of it, right? My family will figure it out is not really a great answer.
Yeah.
At 23%. My family will fit. That's the one you want to avoid. Now, I have seen the crowdfunding one where people have said, GoFundMe or whatever, that, this person has passed and they don't have any money to be buried. So this is what we're going to do overall. I have some people that have actually gone through and set this up. They want to be cremated, and this is what they want. Obviously, I have a lot of people that are now going for no ceremony. I have a lot more people saying, you know what? Later on, do some sort of small gathering at a restaurant with my top 5 friends or whatever it is, right? But I don't see a lot of these more elaborate funerals, unless you're Italian, okay? Because then it's an event, all right? So it is. It's just, we got to have the viewing. You sit with the body for 3 weeks. Grandma's still cooking. I mean, I never understand. I mean, it is a big deal. And it's not something I would prefer. But these are kinds of decisions your family's going to have to make. If you say, listen, I don't want this. I don't want a big deal. I don't want you to spend a lot of money on this. I am long gone. But your kids might decide they can want it all out. Because in grief, you can make some bad decisions. It makes sense. That's all you're thinking about is how can I respect my loved one, and money is no object.
Yeah.
And it could be somewhat predatory if you're not careful. Not that a funeral home would want to do that, but hey, you want the top of the line, and
well, that is true.
So you've got to just be careful and understand that. At least, again, this is all coming down to, the conversation. This is how much you want you to spend. This is where I want to go.
I think that's why it's really good to set these parameters ahead of time. It's just like, when you're having, I think there's 3 industries that really your emotions are really drawn to. If you're having a child, it's like the baby industry. If you're getting married, or there's a death. And if we don't have these things or some parameters set ahead of time, you can really get roped into these things. And I
You're not
remember
pooling the wedding and the death in the same.
I mean, you can pull it all together in so many different ways. I mean, let's face it. But and the reason is because you think you have to have these things.
Bypass that. Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just like
they are emotional.
We had our
decisions.
first child. We're getting shown all this fancy furniture, and we kind of got drawn into it. And finally, I took my wife aside. I said, "Hey, do you remember what your crib looked like?" She's like, "No." I was like,
"It was a fruit crate."
Yeah, I don't either. And so I was like, "So is this for the child or is this for us?" So it was a decision we had to have. And I said, well, we don't need this. So, it was able to back up. But I think that's the same thing you need to be able to, the conversation you need to have. Because, look, the baby didn't remember what kind of crib they had. Your loved one's not going to remember the type of casket they're in.
I think they say that, this crib is going to be passed on to, this is going to be one of those legacy things.
It'll be used for firewood. It's not going to be passed on. Our cribs are already long gone.
They're all, yeah. They're... Yeah,
it's gone to the highest bidder.
Sooner or later, the cardboard on those things, on those boxes, deteriorates. You have to move them along. All right. Do you have life insurance? At least 51% said yes to pay for things. We see a lot of people too. This is another conversation you have to have. Underinsured, or not insured at all. And we see, the one thing I do see on social media is young families, like dad was a hiker and unfortunately he had an accident and now he leaves young wife and young babies. He had no life insurance. How do you not have life insurance? Again, there's going to be a point in your life you don't need it unless it's for estate purposes, right? The older you get, the need for insurance, unless you want to leave a legacy. But this is what your financial plan is all for, right, Danny?
Yeah.
To dictate, you don't know how much life insurance you really need. You just can't go out and say, I'm going to buy like $1 million policy, or I'm going to get a term life policy versus a permanent life, whole life policy. How do you know without a financial plan how much risk to mitigate? And then what is the best vehicle to do this?
Well, they can all be used for different reasons, right? There's many times you're not going to use a permanent policy to, it is all encompassing, and that's typically how they're sold. And there can be reasons and times you would use it for the death benefit and for the cash value. But generally speaking, you may have a few if it's really done right. Like you
Absolutely.
may go buy a term to mitigate risk right now. Now, unless you have a very large estate, then you do want that permanent aspect to the death benefit. But then we may not use it as much for the cash value.
Well, you
depending
might
on how much
graduate
overfund you
right?
put.
You may
Yeah.
graduate in your type of insurance, right? When
Correct.
you're young and, cash flow is thin or maybe more sporadic, and you're going to get more bang for your dollar with pure term
Yep.
life insurance. It's one of the best ways to do it. It's going to be offered through work. You're probably going to need to supplement that because if you left work, you wouldn't have the insurance, or you got laid off, whatever it might be. So term can work. Then as people become older, they realize that their cash flows are better. They can look at permanent life insurance that has a savings or a cash value component that can grow, tax deferred, and possibly can use to supplement as part of your retirement income strategy, and it's not taxable, right? It doesn't allow IRMA to occur, and it doesn't doesn't have the federal taxation attached to it because I'm borrowing against the policy, yet I'm keeping a death benefit in place. But obviously, premiums are going to be higher. So you can graduate in life insurance throughout. Now I have people talking more about life insurance because of worrying about, does the estate tax exemptions, where do they go? Then there's also about what happens with step up in basis.
Correct.
Right? If you make $1 million or more, then step up in basis, right? Right now, God forbid you have a big estate, but you have all these assets with low cost basis passed on to your children. They get this step up in basis. Right, and the part of the initiative here is to maybe remove that, depending upon
you do that
income,
and then you also lower the estate tax.
Exemption.
Man, you get hit with a double whammy.
Right, because there's supposedly there's going to be $1 million exemption on step up in basis, but step up in basis can affect people that are not that wealthy.
Yeah,
I mean, it's you might just have a house and maybe your kids would inherit the house and sell it. So insurance can sometimes fill in the need for your estate planning depending upon the legacy that you want to leave. And also make sure that you're setting it up in a trust if possible, so it doesn't become part of your estate, because people don't realize life insurance does become part of your overall estate. So the most important thing we could tell you here: talk, converse. Plans create conversation. When you do a plan about life insurance and all that, it gets you to face these questions that maybe you don't want to go through on your own. Maybe your advisor can be the intermediary to help or facilitate the conversations, as awkward as they may be. And those are the qualitative benefits to a plan that we don't talk about, because plans are more than numbers. There's a lot of flesh and blood and life experience and conversations that need to occur. And that's it for our Financial Fitness Friday show. Back on Monday. Hope you all have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Always Sunday in a rich man's world. All the things I can tell.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet. Sign up for the Real Investment Report now at realinvestmentadvice.com.
It's a rich man's world.